just like On the Loose, this is a film where Stan and Ollie aren't the headliners. This is Alone Came Auntie. I can't believe I needed to look at the title of the film there. This is a short silent comedy from 1926. This is well before Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel teamed up as a double act, and that's one of the things for sure. I have never seen most of these shorts. The really, really early ones, had never seen them till I started going through this box set, and I have not been, I haven't regretted it so far. And just like On the Loose, this is a film where Stan and Ollie aren't the headliners, and Stan Laurel doesn't even show up in the short film, and Oliver Hardy has got like a smaller role within the film. But he's in there and he looks completely different to what I know him and love him as. But this one stars Glenn Tryon. For some reason, I don't know. I looked up a few places. Tryon is it's not a common name, not one I know of. And for some reason, I look at that there and the first thing I want to say is Glenn Tyrone. But it's Tryon, Tryon. So he's the lead in the short film. He's billed as the lead in this one, but in all fairness, within the film itself, he doesn't really have a big role within the film. So, it must have just been the fact that he was a bigger name than the rest of them in 1926. So, basically, the idea of this short film is that, just like in yesterday's That's My Wife, where there was a rich uncle going to leave an inheritance, in this one there is a rich aunt that's going to leave an inheritance, and it's to Glenn Tryon's wife, and she's like I can't even recall off my head where her money comes from, but she's worth a lot. She's worth a fortune, like $1 million is going to be left to Glenn's wife in this film. But the thing is, Glenn's wife has run up so much debt that she's had to bring in a lodger to help pay the bills. And I should say before we go any further that there's a condition to her getting the inheritance, is that she needs to be married, and married once and once only. But Glenn Tryon is the second husband, so she's been divorced and remarried. The aunt doesn't know this, and she's coming to visit to make sure everything's on the up with her. So we get back to the wife. She's run up all these debts, and Glenn, he's off on a business trip somewhere, and she's had to advertise and bring in a lodger to help pay the bills, get them out of debt. And it turns out to be Oliver Hardy, which just so happens to be her first husband. So straight off there's going to be whenever Glenn Tryon and Oliver Hardy meet each other within the short film, there's going to be sparks flying, to say the very least. There's also a deputy sheriff that's gotten into the house where he's trying to, there's that many debts is built up. He's going around the house and he's checking up, and he's checking how much everything's worth, and if he's going to take anything out of the house to cover the bills they've got up. So he's in there. Glenn Tryon, he turns up home again. The wife tells him what's happened. She introduces him, her current husband, to her ex-husband, and I hear a tractor coming. You out there? That's Northern Ireland for you. Northern Ireland is another way of saying Northern Ireland. So yes, they don't see eye to eye straight away, current husband, ex-husband, and the fight starts, the fight commences between the two of them. I'm not going to go too deep into some of the slapstick comedy moments that happens within the fight, or the fights within this film, because for a short film that's only 25 minutes long, if even that, there's so many things that happen in this. By the end of it, and this is not to slag the film off in any way, shape or form, but you know the way some people would say that film seemed to last forever, and it's usually in a negative mindset. Oh man, that film was so boring that it lasted forever. This film is kind of like that there because of the amount of stuff that is compressed into it, and so funny, and there's no point in me even trying to describe some of the stuff that happens in this film because it would do it no justice whatsoever. At one point, the current husband, the ex-husband, are fighting just because of who they are. In the film, the wealthy aunt turns up in the middle of it, and as far as she knows, the wife is still married to the ex-husband. So there's a section in the film where she jumps in between the two of them. Glenn Tryon and Oliver Hardy explains the situation, so they end up where the current husband has to pretend to be the lodger and Oliver Hardy has to pretend to be the current husband, and it's just sets up so many funny things that can happen with this aunt trying to stay for a few days to sort everything out, and every time her back's turned, the fights commence again. So good. I was not prepared for how funny this film was going to be. At the very beginning of it, it seems to be, well, it doesn't, there's no seems about it. The copy of the film was that old and that damaged that it was incredibly difficult to see and watch at the very beginning of it. It's almost like, you know, I can see you clearly now, but I take my glasses off, you're kind of out of focus. It was kind of like that. Like the print was really in really bad shape. And the silent short films, of course, you've got the people speaking. You just see the mouths moving. You hear nothing. It's just music. And then, of course, you cut to the cards where you see where, you know, the writing's on screen of what they're saying. That's kind of hard to see from time to time on it. But don't let that put you off. If you buy this box set, this is, and that's not even a real criticism of the thing, it's just once you kind of, your eyes kind of get used to it, you're kind of like, you forget about it after a while. See, once the action, the slapstick, the fighting and everything starts kicking off in this film, that just doesn't even enter into it anymore. And definitely it's one well worth checking out. This is probably one of the funniest films I have watched in this box set so far, and you know, Stan and Ollie aren't even a team in it, and the lead is a guy I'd never heard tell of. So definitely 100% hand on heart, buy the box set, definitely check out. So good. I'm not going to say anything more. I'm just going to say go watch it, you'll not regret it. I haven't.